Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie. Today we're doing July reading wrap up. I just remembered though that I read a book in June that I didn't vlog and I didn't end up doing a wrap up, so I want to talk about it very quickly. It's The Bone Orchard by Sarah A. Mueller. This is a story about several people in the same body or the same mind. There's a lot going on. Basically, it's about Charm, who is the king's concubine, and she has her own little brothel, the Bone Orchard. Her employees are her bone ghosts, which are these things that are made in like a serotonic, whatever. There's a place where they have goo and they put the girls in there and it creates them and it can heal them. The bone ghosts' names are Shame, Justice, Desire, Pride, and Pain, and so they're like the feelings of Charm and the lady who is also in Charm's mind. It's a lot to wrap your head around, but that part, all of the characters, well, all of those characters were my favorite part. The main gist of the plot is regarding the king's death. He makes Charm promise that she will find his killer, and he knows it's one of his 3 or 4 sons. I don't know, they're all crusty AF. I did not give one single hoot about the mystery, which is the only reason I think I ended up giving this 3 stars. But everything else, it was really rich in atmosphere. I also didn't really like the political nature of it. There was a lot of talk about like anarchy and forces coming in and battles, and that's not something I tend to enjoy in books. But then at the same time, there were so many things I did enjoy. There was a tiny little bit of romance in here, and there was some cool... Charm is a witch. It's not a very witchy book though, but there are some sort of psychic powers that some people have. I did a horrible job just explaining that, but it's not an easy book to explain. I feel like the mystery of what's going on with Charm is much more compelling than this king's mission. There was a lot of focus on gown making and things like that, which I feel were really fun, but at the same time there was maybe a little bit too much of it. It kind of felt like, and some people really like this, in the Hunger Games, whenever, what's his face? Lenny Kravitz would talk to Katniss about her fashion and making it as a statement, things like that. So if any of that sounded interesting, you should definitely try it out. Like I said, I really like the Bone Ghost as a concept as well. Maybe I didn't say that. This is not starting off well. To be fair though, it's been a while since I read that. These are much more recent. I do have vlogs on every single one of these books, so I will be pointing them out as we go through them. I'm organizing them by size, or rather page count. So first we have What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which I discussed in this vlog. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. It's very short. It's only like 165 pages with the author's note. This is a retelling of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall of the House of Usher. It starts off pretty close to it, just in description, and then we get a whole new character as a narrator. The main character's name is Alex, and they are my favorite part of this book. The kind of twist is the other part, which is great. If you don't know what The Fall of the House of Usher is, or what this book is about, it's basically about a childhood friend coming to this manor where there's a brother and a sister, and the sister is very, very sick. Everyone's pretty sure she's gonna kick it any second. The brother is also looking pretty grim and sickly, and you can tell that is affecting him mentally. There are some differences, obviously, very, very big differences between the original Poe story and this one, but I feel like it did such a good job of taking the heart of it and expanding. I think, oh, so good. And honestly, I like this version more, just because Poe is a little, he's a little wordy, but mostly the characters are so heartwarming. Like Alex, our main character, is so funny while all this weird shit is happening. So they're at this manor and there's just random weird stuff happening. There are these hares hanging out and they're very slow and they stare at you kind of stupidly. There's mushrooms hanging about that smell rank AF. And when our main character is sleeping, they're woken up by like creaks around the house There's sleepwalking. It's very spooky vibes, but also wholesome at the same time. Then we have Beneath the Sugar Sky, which is 176 pages. I listened to the audiobook of this, and this is the third in the series, which is weird. I'm talking about it before the second one, which is coming up right after. I gave this third one 2 stars, and I read it in this vlog. This was only 176 pages, and that is shocking to me because the last few chapters felt like they would not end. And I found that Seanan McGuire's writing, which I will elaborate more on immediately following this book, really calls to me only in a certain tense. So this is in kind of a present tense. There's action happening and there's this quest to be made, except for I don't feel like the quest was very clear. It kind of meandered. At first I was very excited because I can't even explain what happens in this book because it might ruin the first book, but it's a group of teenagers and they all come from different realities. Some of them are scarier, like in a bone world, and some of them are more fun, like in a candy cane kind of world. And our teens have band together to complete a quest of sorts. Solve a mystery almost, I don't know. It's not that compelling in my opinion. And I feel like I just don't vibe with this kind of story that happens in 1 or 2 days, and I don't know, I just didn't like it, okay? I did, however, like the second book, which is Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which was 192 pages. And this followed Jack and Jill, who we did meet in the first book. It is a sort of prequel because we are seeing them in their alternate reality before they come to the manor to meet with all the other misfit teenagers. And I really like this because you get an entire spans of their lives starting even before they were born. We meet their insufferable parents before they were born. And I like that aspect where it's kind of like a fairy tale from beginning to end. Well, not at the very end. At the very end, I feel like it turned into a present tense mission action thing. But overall, I give this 4 stars. I am not explaining these books very well. I hate doing wrap-ups. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna continue because our next book is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield, and I absolutely love this book. I read it in this vlog. I gave this 5 stars, and I was really like, I want to get through work today so I can just finish this book. Like, I want to quit my job right now so I can finish this book. It's a story about a pair of wives. No, not a pair of wives. A set of wives? 2 wives. This is a story about a married couple, and Leah ended up going in a submarine on some underwater exploration mission, and her submarine ended up sinking. And now she's back from outer space. Sorry. And our other character's name is Miri. She's at home, and she is kind of dealing with Leah not acting like herself. There's something going on with her, and she's just acting totally different. And throughout this book, you find out what happens as the submarine sank and is sunk and how they got back up. And that part was very, very thrilling. But at the same time, you're in present tense and you see their relationship as if they're strangers now. And you also get flashbacks of when these 2 women are growing up, but also when they first meet and how they fall in love. With every single time you get a piece of like their relationship puzzle, you start to love them so much, and it's even more sad what's happening in real time because it's a grief almost because they are acting like strangers to each other. And there is this weird element to this where you're like, is Leah just sad, or is she suffering from PTSD, or is something else going on? I'm not gonna tell you, okay? You're gonna have to read it. I feel like some people might think this is slow paced, and they might be right, but I feel like I was so interested in reading it that it didn't really feel slow at all to me. Next in length is Life Ceremony by Sayaka Murata. I started it in this vlog and I didn't end up finishing it, which I'm really sad because I ended up loving this. I gave it 4.5. I think there are like 12 stories in here. Some of them are as short as like a page and a half. They are pretty sci-fi-ish, but not totally like in the future, but in a sort of maybe in 50 years kind of thing. And it's all very matter of fact, and it's very easy to comprehend. But Sayaka Murata has a very specific tone, and it almost feels impersonal or maybe simple, but it is very complex at the same time. So she plays a lot with, in this book, animal versus human. And so the first story, I'm pretty sure, was about us wearing animal clothing and animal furniture, like having a chandelier made of fingernails. And it was very, very normal, like in that space of time. And then our character's husband is like, ew, no, that's effing weird. I don't want to do that. And there's this kind of discussion of whether it is respecting a human by using all of its parts when it dies, or is it just effed up? And then kind of in the same animal versus human discussion, there is the craziest story, which is Life Ceremony, what it's named after. It's the one that I keep thinking about. And this is so effing out there. It sounds so effing creepy. I keep saying effing, I'm sorry. So just stick with me for a second. Okay, so in the title story, we have our main character. It's told to us that it's tradition now for when someone dies, you have a life ceremony for them. And you eat them as a sign of respect and a sign of celebrating their life. And then it gets weirder, guys. Immediately after, like, you go there in like some hot looking outfit and you find a partner and you copulate. You try to make new life immediately after. You could be in the middle of the street, anywhere, and it's totally acceptable. And there's like, you know what, all over the ground. So it's like, with death comes life. Our main character finds it kind of weird, except then her friend dies and this ending is so funny. And that's the thing, is that this is just a weird story about cannibalism and weird sex. But the thing with Sayaka Murata is that she's very asexual in her writing. And I think it's so funny that even in a story that is filled with sex, it is not sexual at all. Oh, and I forgot the last story was called Hatchling. I'm getting a little too into this book right now because I didn't finish the vlog of it, so I feel like I'm doing it right now. But Hatchling was about, it's not even sci-fi, this one, and it's about our main character. They notice that whenever they're around a certain group of people, they act a certain way, not even like knowing that they're doing it. And it's not really two-faced. She's naturally just kind of answering them and giving them what they want. And then she's around a different group of people and she becomes a sort of other personality. And it's so effing creepy because you know what she's talking about. I think that's the most unsettling part of it. And it comes to a point where she's getting married and she's thinking about her wedding and all of the people in her life, and they're all gonna converge and everyone's gonna be like, what the heck? You're a totally different person. Or it was just funny how it was handled. I have so much love for this. I didn't give it a 5-star just because there were a couple stories that I didn't really care about. The fun thing though was that Sayaka Murata used a lot of the same characters, or at least their names. And so I was making lists, guys, of every single character in every single story. And I was trying to find, like, the highlighted ones are the names that are repeated. And I was trying to find some super connection. I didn't really get very far, but Out There by Kate Folk is actually very similar to Life Ceremony, but very different at the same time. So this is a more sexualized version of that. And there is talk a lot about relationships, romantic and sexual relationships, in a way that Life Ceremony didn't have. These are also slightly sci-fi. There are several stories like in Life Ceremony that aren't sci-fi at all. And these are also as equally bizarre. I gave this one 5 stars, which I just read in this vlog. And I gave it 5 stars because every single story, maybe one was a 4-star. Every other story was 5 stars. It was amazing in concept. It was so crazy. And it was also so rich in thought as the character, because all the characters were very flawed, but there was like an understanding, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I think there was a lot to say about vulnerability in settling with relationships, in dealing with your own insecurities. I don't know. This was so amazing. I literally go story by story and synopsize each one in that vlog. So if you want to know more about it, definitely check out the vlog. I don't think I have a favorite, but the ones that really are sticking with me is Heart Seeks Brain, which is only like a few pages long. That one was about organs being attractive to other people, and you gift them pieces of your organ, if not your entire organ, when you're in a relationship with them until you die. The Bone Ward, which is our main character, was in a ward for this disease where your bones disintegrate and then rebuild in the morning. It was a long story, and it built up this concentration of characters and how our main character dealt with like jealousy and feeling replaced. And then Moist House, I can't stop thinking about that one, and I wish I could. Just because I hated our main character, our narrator. It's a man, a crusty man that goes and lives in a house, except the house it requires a lot from him, money and time and care, and he becomes obsessed with it. Okay, let's go on before I rave too much longer. Okay, we have Cult Classic by Sloane Crosley. I read it in this vlog. This came out on my birthday, June 7th. And it's about a woman named Lola. She lives in New York City, and she starts seeing all of her ex-boyfriends, and she has quite a few of them in a not very coincidental kind of way. She also kind of finds out that her ex-boss and her ex-coworker, they are kind of doing this not cult thing, and you'll find more information out when you read, but it is not a coincidence that she's seeing her exes over and over and over. She's also engaged at the moment. So it's a lot about modern relationships, but it didn't really dig deep in me. It felt kind of surface level. At the same time though, I think it is well written, and I'll definitely read more Sloane Crosley, but it did feel a little lackluster for something that sounds very interesting, like possible cults, possible mind control, all this drama and seeing your ex-boyfriends. It was fun. I like books about New York City though, or just living in New York City, so that definitely brought it. What? Then I read The Pallbearers Club, which I also read in this vlog, and I really liked it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's a memoir written by Art Barbara. Like, this is not a memoir, it's a book by Paul Tremblay, but it is a memoir by Art Barbara. And there are edits throughout it by a girl named Mercy. So Art is writing about his life, and it starts off when he is in high school and he creates the Pallbearers Club. He makes this club mostly to look impressive on his college applications, and it's just for like homeless people or people without much family so that they can have pallbearers to help, carry their casket. And Mercy is a girl he meets at the Pallbearers Club, and it's about their friendship. And then some crazy shit happens. There's a very specific thing in here that most of the book is talking about, and Art is wondering and obsessing over it. And Mercy is saying, I don't agree. I don't want to say what it is because I feel like it would be so fun to go into this book not knowing it. So let me just say that there's something weird going on with the two of them. It's as vague as I could possibly say. And then we also get the rest of his life. So it's really, really fun in the beginning because Mercy is roasting his ass. And honestly, that was the most fun part. He's being all pretentious and she's like, you're being a little whiny here. But it did have this kind of slow-paced picture of this man's life that felt kind of reminiscent of Kaikeyi and Cersei, which I mentioned in my video, which doesn't make any sense. Don't try to make it make sense. These two stories are about very powerful women in mythology, and this is about a sad, crusty man, really. But it kind of has that very long-winded explanation and story of someone's life. But there are several scenes that are super tense and dark and kind of scary, at least in my opinion. They freaked me out. Also, I am now afraid of jackets. Next in size is Ruth Ware, which is weird because this looks like it'd be so much longer or the same size, and it's like, I don't know, like 70 pages longer. This is The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Did I already say that? I read it in this vlog. It's about a woman named Rowan. Sorry. This book is in letter form. She is writing to a barrister, which I think is like a judge or a lawyer, trying to plead her case and saying that she is not guilty of her crime. She is currently in prison for murdering a child. We find that out very, very quickly. And so now in her letter, she's taking us back to when she was hired as a nanny for this family. And so it is interesting how it's told, because you know what happens. You know a child dies and you know that Rowan is found guilty. But I feel like this book really grips you, and it's creepy because there is this haunted house aspect to it. I didn't know I loved haunted house stories, and now I do. So it's haunted in multiple ways. Several children have died on the premises, and I think adults, because a lot of the adults looked guilty and then might have killed themselves. Maybe I made that up. So there are these kind of spirits, and all of the nannies have quit because of the supernatural. Our main character doesn't believe in ghosts though. It's also kind of a haunted house because it's a smart house. Everything is connected. And if you've seen that Disney Channel original movie, you know this is gonna go bad. It's so infuriating. Even if there weren't any spooky things happening and the job was perfect, if I had to deal with this smart house, I would have quit on sight, because you need a password for everything. There's cameras in everyone's room, which is just disgusting. It just sounds like a nightmare. So, and of course the parents are annoying. They're just like rich and stupid, and the dad is really creepy. There's also kind of a creepy ass little kid in this, which some people really like. And I'm not gonna lie, it did add to the atmosphere. There are a couple twists in here and they really took me by surprise. I did not see them coming. I don't read too many thrillers, so maybe you experts are like, girl, that made you shocked, but I thought it was good. Next in size is Abby Jimenez's Part of Your World. This is a romance between a girl in the big city and a guy from small town with a baby goat. It's kind of friends with benefits to lovers, which is my favorite kind of romance trope. They are so nice to each other, which is good. They're not enemies at all. They're just two good people. Well, she is a little rich and ignorant, maybe? So there are some things that she would never purposefully do, but she learns her mistakes by knowing him and his town and falling in love with his town. I think I gave this 3.5 stars. It was really infuriating because she is dealing with an asshole ex-husband and an asshole of a father. I find myself getting so stressed out and frustrated by characters like that. So it was actually kind of annoying to read. And I was just like, God, I just want to punch this fucker in the face. I'm interested in reading more of Abby Jimenez's things, but I don't exactly love how this was handled. It's one of those situations where I can very much empathize, and I don't know, maybe I was putting myself too much in the book because I was thinking like, well, I've dealt with this and this is how I would do that. And I was just trying to control her, which is not very nice. I'm so sorry. And then lastly, we have Our Crooked Hearts. I have the art copy. It's 384 pages. It didn't feel like 384 pages, mostly because it's like much larger print than the others. It did feel long towards the end. I feel like this book was a little too long. It's about a mother and a daughter. We have two perspectives. The daughter is like 17, and the mother, we get her perspective when she was a teenager and then as she's growing up. I really, really liked how witchy this was. It's very occult. It's very like, get the bones and the hair and the blood and let's go into the moon and chant something. I wanted that vibe and I got it. However, there were a few times, like the first half of it, I loved it. It was kind of slow paced, but it was really setting the witchy mood, and there was this mystery impending, and it did a great job of it. I really found Dana's, the mother's perspective, much more compelling, which is funny because I just read a Goodreads review saying that that part was so boring and they wished it wasn't in the book. The daughter's point of view, I was really frustrated by because there's like a forced side romance and it felt like there was a lot of filler. However, I will give you this. The daughter's point of view, there were some scary scenes, like some actually that creeps me out. And I think part of it are just certain things that I get creeped out by. Let me give you a taste. So our opening scene, the teenage daughter is driving in a car with her drunk boyfriend and they see a naked girl in the middle of the road. They swerve and crash. Our main character is a queen, so she gets out and makes sure that the naked girl is okay. She finds the girl bathing herself in the water and laughing maniacally, and it just, the chills I got. And I feel like at the end, I feel like they left something very important out of this. I can't say it without spoiling it, but if you've read this book, I want to know what you think about Astrid's ending. Is that vague enough? Okay guys, we made it through another one. These are my most frustrating videos to make. I don't know why. I feel like I'm not very good at explaining books in a short amount of time. This is probably going to be annoyingly long. Thank you for watching if you did. I cannot wait to get started on my August books. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I gave this a 3.5. I can't remember if I said that. This is a pretty good reading month. I feel like I had, what, 3 5 stars? Yeah, 3 5 stars. That's incredible. I will see you in the next video. Toodles.